through this. Okay, okay. Yeah,
and action!
Miss Francesca Bridgerton, presented by her mother, the Right Honourable Dowager, Lady...
10 changes Bridgerton Season 4 must make to the book for Benedict's story. Bridgerton Season 4 is set to adapt Benedict Bridgerton and Sophie Beck's romance from An Offer from a Gentleman, but significant changes are necessary to ensure the story resonates with audiences and fits the show's established tone. The season must eliminate Benedict's problematic behavior from the book, modernize his character, and emphasize his respect for Sophie's independence. Additionally, Sophies Korean heritage, a unique addition in the show, should be meaningfully explored to deepen her characterization. Side plots, such as Kate Sharma befriending Sophie and integrating Posey Lee into the Bridgerton family, should enhance the main storyline rather than detract from it. Flashbacks to Sophie's childhood and the inclusion of her wedding to Benedict could provide emotional depth and a satisfying conclusion. The show must also ensure Penelope Featherington plays a more direct role in aiding Sophie, aligning with her established character development. Finally, to avoid overshadowing Benedict and Sophie's arc, the season finale should refrain from teasing the lead characters for Season 5, maintaining focus on their love story. 10 changes Bridgerton Season 4 must make to the book for Benedict's story. Bridgerton must make several key changes regarding Benedict and Sophie's story for the show's 4th season to work. Bridgerton Season 4 is well into filming, and it will feature Benedict Bridgerton and Sophie Beck's romance from An Offer from a Gentleman. Benedict and Sophie's story is one of the most anticipated Bridgerton main couples, especially given how well-received Sophie Beck's casting was. There is a lot to look forward to in Bridgerton Season 4, from the iconic masquerade ball to My Cottage to Benedict and Sophie's angsty drama. There are also several ways that Bridgerton Season 4 will be different from the first 3 seasons, especially given the unique characteristics of Benedict and Sophie's story. However, Bridgerton Season 4 will not be identical to An Offer from a Gentleman, and there are multiple factors to take into account since Bridgerton is a book-to-TV adaptation. While several shows have proven TV is a better medium for book adaptations, Bridgerton will still have to make critical changes to Benedict and Sophie's story for Season 4 to be successful. 10. Isabella Way must be a permanent cast addition instead of just the season. Posey Lee becomes part of the Bridgerton family. At the end of An Offer from a Gentleman, Posey, Araminta's younger daughter and one of Sophie's stepsisters, finally stands up to Araminta. As a result, she decides to leave her mother and sister and finds a new family with the Bridgertons once Violet invites her. However, Posey does not appear in future Bridgerton books other than An Offer from a Gentleman's second epilogue. The show now has an excellent opportunity to rectify this issue by keeping Posey, portrayed by Isabella Way, for all future seasons instead of just Season 4. Bridgerton could portray Posey's dynamics with the Bridgerton family, creating a contrast between her birth family and her found family with the Bridgertons. When Violet invites Posey to stay with the Bridgertons, she essentially adopts Posey and treats her like one of her daughters. It would be a disservice to Posey and the Bridgertons if the show wrote Posey out of the show at the end of Season 4. 9. Penelope should directly tell Benedict about Sophie's arrest instead of utilizing her column. Penelope's Lady Whistledown identity has already been revealed. In An Offer from a Gentleman, Benedict discovers Sophie's whereabouts after she disappears through Lady Whistledown's column. However, Bridgerton reveals Lady Whistledown earlier than the books do, so Penelope is no longer writing her columns under the Lady Whistledown pen name. Without Penelope's astute observations, Benedict might never have found Sophie until it was too late. Benedict will need a different way to learn where Sophie has gone during this scene in Bridgerton Season 4. If the writers follow An Offer from a Gentleman as closely as possible, Penelope could arrive just in time to see Sophie whisked away. It would leave Penelope to rush to find Benedict and warn him. It would not make sense for Penelope to wait to write about Sophie's arrest in her column, especially since Benedict is now her brother-in-law. However, if Penelope arrives early enough, she might save Sophie from the police herself because of her status, which would defeat the purpose of the scene. Therefore, Bridgerton Season 4 should portray Penelope arriving in time to see the police take Sophie away so she can still warn Benedict. That way, Benedict can rush to the local jail with Violet to save her. 8. Bridgerton must eliminate book Benedict's sexual harassment. Bridgerton has an excellent reputation of eliminating the men's toxic characteristics from the books. Bridgerton has many big book changes, from swapping the order of the Bridgerton love stories to introducing new characters. An Offer from a Gentleman is one of the best Bridgerton books, but like most of the other installments, the male protagonist, in this case, Benedict, is highly problematic. So far, the show has done an excellent job excluding the Bridgerton men's toxic characteristics. Anthony threatens to rape Kate on their wedding night, while Colin has been physically violent with Penelope. Bridgerton has notably left out both of these scenes. In An Offer from a Gentleman, Benedict asks Sophie to be his mistress. Of course, given the circumstances, there is nothing wrong with that, it is the basis of their story, hence the title. However, Bridgerton should leave out the events that follow. Namely, Benedict should not blackmail Sophie to keep her close, and once Sophie rejects Benedict's offer, he should not sexually harass her, which he does a few times throughout the novel. Bridgerton can adjust these scenes so that Benedict will prioritize Sophie's safety and independence. Instead of constantly seeking her out to harass her, Benedict and Sophie can coincidentally run into each other. Instead of blackmailing Sophie, Benedict should respect her wishes, but Sophie can change her mind in the heat of the moment and decide to work for Violet on her own. That way, the essence of Benedict and Sophie's love story in Bridgerton remains the same while altering the problematic aspects. 7. Kate and Sophie should strike a close friendship. Kate and Sophie have a lot in common. Kate does not actually appear in An Offer from a Gentleman. In the book timeline, she is 9 months pregnant and ready to give birth to her second child, Miles, so she is at Bridgerton House preparing for the birth. However, the show's Bridgerton timeline suggests that Kate will not be pregnant since her first child, Edmund, is still an infant, whereas he's 2 years old when Miles is born. Furthermore, Anthony and Kate will be parents for the first time, so the show will most likely focus on that aspect rather than give them a second child. As a result, Kate needs a storyline for Bridgerton Season 4. Kate would be the perfect friend for Sophie because she would understand Sophie on a level that almost no one else could. The ideal storyline for Kate in Bridgerton Season 4, other than navigating parenthood and being Viscountess, would be to befriend the Bridgerton sisters' new lady's maid, Sophie Beck. There is an excellent opportunity for Kate and Sophie to become friends because of their similarities. Kate and Sophie both begin as outcasts. Sophie is a bastard, while Kate is the overlooked Sharma spinster sister. They are both independent women with strong values. Kate would be the perfect friend for Sophie, someone to have in her corner when she feels alone. Penelope is another Bridgerton sister-in-law that Sophie can turn to since they also have some commonalities. However, Kate understands Sophie on a different level because of their unique lived experiences as Asian immigrants in Britain's upper-class society and as two women from lower-class backgrounds. Mary Sharma was from the upper class, but she gave up her life to be with Kate's father in India. In an ideal world, Sophie would befriend both Kate and Penelope. However, if Bridgerton only allows Sophie to interact with one sister-in-law, it should be Kate. 6. Benedict should bring Sophie to work for Alice and Will instead of his family. This decision would illustrate Benedict selflessly caring for Sophie. In An Offer from a Gentleman, Benedict blackmails Sophie to work as a lady's maid for Violet because he wants Sophie to be his mistress. However, the show must rewrite this scene so that Benedict prioritizes Sophie's wants and needs before his own. Benedict can only illustrate that by bringing Sophie to a family he trusts, if she does not want to work for the Bridgertons. Alice and Will Mondrich have their own storyline each season, but this scenario would be the perfect way to connect the Mondriches with the Bridgertons. The only downside to this route is that it might deprive Sophie of her relationship with the Bridgertons, but the show can still work around that issue. Will Mondrich is good friends with Colin and Benedict, so it would not be strange if the Mondriches spent a lot of time with the Bridgertons, and Alice uses these opportunities to bring Sophie along. Alice and Will would also understand Sophie because, until recently, they were also members of the working class. 5. Bridgerton should include flashbacks of Sophie's childhood. Sophie Beck's story must be front and center of Bridgerton Season 4. An Offer from a Gentleman references Sophie's childhood several times, especially when she reminisces on her life before Araminta became her stepmother. However, there is a critical difference between fleeting thoughts and fleshed-out flashbacks. Bridgerton should turn these scenes into proper flashbacks of Sophie's childhood. Bridgerton has utilized flashbacks in Season 1, Episode 2, Shock and Delight, and Season 2, Episode 3, A Bee in Your Bonnet. These scenes provided additional characterization for Simon Bassett and Anthony Bridgerton, respectively. In Bridgerton Season 1, Episode 2, Shock and Delight, the flashbacks of Simon Bassett's childhood reflect his reasons for refusing to have children. Anthony's flashbacks in Bridgerton Season 2, Episode 3, A Bee in Your Bonnet, illustrate why he proposes to Edwina despite having feelings for Kate. Flashbacks of Sophie's childhood in Bridgerton Season 4 can portray her resilience, strength, and refusal to be Benedict's mistress. 4. Bridgerton must incorporate Sophie's Korean background. Sophie Beckett becoming Sophie Beck must be a meaningful change. When Bridgerton cast Simone Ashley to play Kate Sharma, the show adapted Kate's character to fit her Indian background. Bridgerton Season 2, Episode 6, The Choice, portrays the haldi ceremony the night before Anthony and Edwina's wedding. Kate and Edwina refer to their father as a Appa, while Kate calls Edwina Vaughn, and Edwina refers to Kate as a Didi. Although there were some issues with how Bridgerton portrayed Kate and Edwina's heritage, changing Kate Sheffield to Kate Sharma was a monumental decision. As a result, Bridgerton improved Kate Sharma's character. Bridgerton casting Yaren as Sophie Beck reflects a similar decision. This casting choice is an excellent opportunity to explore Sophie's Korean heritage and how it changes the stakes of her character arc. There is a lot of room for adjustments to improve Sophie Beck in the same way that Kate Sharma is an improvement from Kate Sheffield. Bridgerton Season 4 must include Sophie's Korean background in her story. The diversity the show strives for must be authentic and meaningful. 3. The secondary storylines should contribute to Benedict and Sophie. The most successful Bridgerton seasons have complementing storylines. Bridgerton's secondary storylines are often hits or misses. Cressida and Eloise's unexpected friendship in Bridgerton Season 3 supported Penelope's individual arc and Eloise and Penelope's friendship. On the flip side, Cousin Jack in Bridgerton Season 2 felt like a complete waste of time and energy that could have been spent on the Sharma family dynamics. This contrast illustrates the importance of secondary plots. Bridgerton will always have side plots, it is inevitable. However, the secondary storylines should not hinder or take away from the main romance, they should contribute to it. Therefore, the secondary storylines in Bridgerton Season 4 should help move Benedict and Sophie's story along by connecting somehow. Kate and Penelope could befriend Sophie, while Lady Danbury could be the ideal replacement for Mr. and Mrs. Crabtree in Bridgerton Season 4. Sophie can relate to Alice and Will's working-class background. Queen Charlotte might discover Sophie and Benedict's romance, or Bridgerton could portray the servant conflict between Portia and Araminta on screen. There are many options for Bridgerton Season 4, the important thing is that they must relate to Benedict and Sophie's story. 2. Bridgerton should include Benedict and Sophie's wedding at the end of Season 4. Benedict and Sophie's wedding would continue the tradition of showing weddings that the books skipped over. Bridgerton has created a strange trend regarding its weddings. Except for Simon and Daphne's wedding in Bridgerton Season 1, every wedding that the show features is not in the books, whereas weddings that occur on the page are not in the show. It is most likely a mere coincidence, but now that Bridgerton has established this pattern, it makes sense to continue it. Therefore, Bridgerton Season 4 should include Benedict and Sophie's wedding, even if it is impromptu. John and Francesca's wedding is small and simple. Benedict and Sophie's could be similar. While Benedict and Sophie's wedding is not critical to see on screen, either is Colin and Penelope's, but the narrative still calls for it. Benedict and Sophie's wedding ceremony would also be an excellent way to close the season, given how far they have come since the beginning of their love story. 1. Bridgerton Season 4's finale should not hint at which sibling will be next. Bridgerton should keep Season 5's leads a surprise until the announcement. One last thing that Bridgerton Season 4 should incorporate into Benedict and Sophie's story involves the transition to Season 5. Bridgerton Season 1 suggested Anthony would be Season 2's lead with the bumblebee on the windowsill at the end of Season 1, Episode 8, After the Rain. It is a subtle Bridgerton detail, but it foreshadows Anthony and Kate's story. Bridgerton Season 3 foreshadows Benedict and Sophie's story by mentioning the masquerade ball. While these moments are iconic, Bridgerton Season 4's ending should take the route Season 2 does, and not hint at which Bridgerton will be next. Realistically, there are only two possibilities for Bridgerton Season 5, Eloise and Francesca. Ideally, Eloise should be next, but not because her story is overdue. In fact, Eloise's romance is a hot subject for debate. Eloise ends up with Philip Crane in the Bridgerton books, but their story is highly controversial. Eloise and Philip's book romance depends on demonizing Philip's late wife, Marina Thompson. Philip is also arguably the most disliked Bridgerton hero. Philip's problematic persona makes him one of the lowest-ranking Bridgerton spouses, and to Sir Philip, With Love is the lowest-rated Bridgerton book on Goodreads by a landslide. The factors surrounding Eloise's book suggest that finalizing her romantic fate at the end of Season 4 could be a story challenge. However, giving Francesca Season 5 might rush her romance, and Francesca must have enough time to grieve John before her romance with Michaela begins. To avoid all this trouble, Bridgerton Season 4's finale should not refer to Season 5's leads. It avoids creating a potential mess before the show is even renewed and allows Season 4 to focus entirely on Benedict and Sophie.